Brad Johnson Show. I'm turning losers like you into winners like me. You're about to enter the winning zone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Brad Johnson Show. I'm your host, Brad Johnson, CEO, CFO, all the other C and O's, all combined into one amazing person that is me. So welcome to the Brad Johnson Show. I am so excited today. I mean, I'm always excited. I mean, if you just looked in the mirror and saw me, you would also be excited. Although I don't know why you'd be looking in the mirror and seeing me in your mirror. But regardless, I am excited to have on today with me a guest who is a kindred spirit in confidence, I would say, is one of the things that we have in common is confidence. The other thing that we have in common is author. We have courses. We have lots of social media stuff, blogs, all those sorts of things. This lady just crushing it on so many levels. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the show, Miss Kate Eckman. Kate, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Brad. It's a joy to be here.
I know, isn't it? Man, I get that all the time. People are like, this is a joy to be here on this podcast. And it's like, yeah, you've probably been on other podcasts and it's just not really a joy. I think is usually the story that I hear.
Right. So that's why I'm happy that we're connecting. I get some fun and excitement in my day.
Oh, yeah. That's what I am all about, and winning as well. So, Kate, thanks for coming on the show today. I know you're a busy lady. We were just talking before we jumped on air here. You are in the process of recording an audio book. Now, for those of you who don't know, an audiobook is a book that is on audio. So instead of reading it, you actually listen to it, which is revolutionary, let me tell you. So, Kate, talk to me a little bit about that, because that's kind of a new experience for you, right?
Yeah, so this is my first book, The Full Spirit Workout, which comes out April 27th. I'm just absolutely thrilled to get it into the world after all the behind the scenes work that nobody sees or really cares about or knows how much effort and energy goes into creating a book. And the audiobook is really fun because you hear your story out loud and it can be very emotional in certain parts. And then I think it's just fun because readers or listeners, I guess, in that case, can get a sense of your personality and you can really take them on a journey. And as you know, do the voice inflections and they can hear your heart. And there was, I had to do a few takes, even getting very emotional during some parts of it. But I think that's the freedom that we give to our listeners. I think there's sometimes this misconception that people in the public eye or something don't have feelings, don't experience all the ups and downs. And I think it's just a time that we all need to really connect on a deeper level and get real about what's happening within us at our core, instead of pretending that we have it all together and everything's great when we've all kind of suffered a lot during this past year.
Well, and I love that concept of just being real. I mean, and if you do have it all figured out, just really flaunting that to the world, like I do, just, let people know. So I love that audiobook. You said that the book is called The Full Spirit Workout. Now I'm looking at your website here. This is a 10-step system to shed your self-doubt, strengthen your spiritual core, and create a fun and fulfilling life. All of which sound like fantastic things. I love the idea of a spiritual core, because I mean, anybody who's seen me without a shirt on knows that my core is it could be considered spiritual just in and of itself. So talk to me a little bit about what is your spiritual core, and by your, I mean the audiences, and by the audiences I mean everyone who's listening.
Absolutely. So the Full Spirit Workout is a play on the full body workout that we often hear advertised at the gym. So everyone's familiar with that. But it's also about bringing your full spirit to everyone you meet and to everything that you do. And your full spirit is your presence and your power, your passion, just that zest for life and sharing your gifts with the world. And so strengthening our spiritual core, it's not about having the six pack, but it's about really going within and getting clear on who you are and taking all the emphasis off the surface level and superficial and the ego and all the things that we present to the world, and turning the focus inward where actually all of our wisdom lies. And, I look at our spiritual core as that undeletable computer file that can always be downloaded, that has that wisdom, that you don't have to search for meaning and purpose outside of yourself. It's all within. And I think a lot of people struggle with taking the time to even just sit quietly for 5 minutes each day and reflect. And instead of going to the internet or a friend or a knee-jerk reaction, what should I do? Or I'm so stressed out. It's kind of foreign to people to sit quietly and go within for the answers that are always available to us.
Yeah, and that's why I've really been recently just kind of getting into the practice of what I call social media meditation. I get on Twitter or Instagram and just really kind of do my meditation while I'm on the social media. I find it's a great efficiency hack, but also just so zen. So that's great. Spiritual core. Now, self-doubt. This is something, man, I feel like so many people struggle with, and it's understandable when you look at just normal people. It's totally understandable. But when you're talking about shedding your self-doubt, what does that look like in a practical sense? Because I think I know most of my listeners could really use some help with this, just because they have so much self of themselves that they doubt. And I don't doubt that they doubt it, because I would doubt it too if I was them.
You are so wild. I love it. So when you're shedding your self-doubt, you're really strengthening your confidence. And the way to do that, I describe it as the 5 Ps of confidence, which is presence, patience, purpose, preparation, and practice. And I have some bonus Ps I'll get to, but presence, it's about being present. So you're not on social media. You are fully present and engaged in your task at hand. You're bringing your energy to what you're doing instead of being distracted or thinking about, actually being distracted is exhausting. And then patience is really trusting that you're on the right path. It's trusting in yourself, your colleagues, your family members, and that what's best for you is either already here or on its way. And there's that 38 Special song that says, hold on loosely. So really it's not gripping so tightly to your goal and being obsessed with having to have it your exact way and having it right now, but really trusting that there's a greater plan and process. And then purpose, having a greater purpose than yourself. So the days you are exhausted and can't show up for yourself or want to throw in the towel, you show up for your colleagues or your teammates or a higher purpose. You really work on something in your life that is more than just about you. Preparation, we know that consistency of behavior leads to a consistency of habits, which leads to better results. And then that boosts your confidence. And then practice. And I think there's this notion that, I'm already doing pretty well. I don't need a coach or I don't need to practice. And I think of the greats like Tom Brady or LeBron James, and they practice and work harder than anyone, not because they're the worst, but because they're the best.
Exactly. Man, I preach that all the time. You got to have that practice, and people that give up on practice, like, it's no wonder they're just losing at life. You got to have the practice, and you got to have the coach. And personally, I definitely recommend myself as a coach, because I don't think you're going to be able to get anything better. You also may not be able to afford it. But let's jump into, you do some coaching through your courses. Now, courses to me are one of the best things that ever were invented. And I don't take personal credit for inventing courses, but I think that argument could definitely be made. So let's talk about, you have multiple courses here. The one I want to talk about, though, is the relationship reboot. Now, what would you say to somebody, hypothetically speaking, who just couldn't hold down a relationship, regardless of their amazing looks, success, money, just the private island that they own, multiple jets, assistants, and all that sort of thing? What would, just hypothetically, if somebody happened to be in that sort of situation, which probably wouldn't happen, but if it did?
Well, hypothetically speaking here, I would suggest to that person that they take the time to figure out who they want to be in the relationship, rather than making a laundry list of all the characteristics or traits that they seek in an ideal mate, that they really figure out who they want to be. And there's often this question of, is this person really good enough for me, or are they really giving me what I need? Where the real question should be, am I really showing up for this person and giving them the space for their transformation and enlightenment? And that's a huge difference. And there is so much external focus and blame and shame and judgment, where if we took that time really working on ourselves and being our ideal mate, because the question then becomes, if I met my dream partner, or even if I'm with my dream partner, would they want me, or are they really satisfied in this relationship? So I think taking the emphasis off other people and what they're doing right or wrong, but putting that back on myself and being really preparing my home and my body and my personality and my whole world for like setting up that environment for a thriving relationship.
Totally. Yes. I think, focusing on me is definitely important. Man. Okay. I'll take that to heart. I'll give that some thought. So Kate, let's dive into a little bit of your story. Because to me, stories are the things that connect people. They are the things that, just kind of transcend the transcendence of life. And I'd say stories are something that, they exist for sure. So I would say, tell us a little bit about where you came from. People love the rags to riches type of story. It gets a little boring when it's just a riches to riches story like mine, even though it's not boring, despite the fact that it is what it is. So tell us a little bit about you, Kate. Like what was Kate, 15 years ago, 20 years ago? Let's talk that.
Well, I had a 17-year competitive swimming career. So growing up, my whole life was swimming. And
that's awesome. I was actually a competitive swimmer as well. Pegged for the Olympics for a couple of years, but I didn't really want to spend the time on it. So yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. It's a 17-year swimming career. Sorry, just interrupt there.
That's okay. You were out-touched by Michael Phelps and your Olympic dreams were tarnished.
No. I was actually kind of stepped aside so that Michael could have his time in the sun. I call him Mikey, but so go ahead.
That's so generous of you. So
I know.
My whole world was about athletics, and that's why I even created this project, because I knew how hard I had to train my physical body to be able to compete at a high level. And so when I experienced the loss of two friends to suicide, and I was dealing with not just the grief of their deaths, but also what it was bringing up in me, and that was placing so much stock in what other people thought, and letting my insecurities get the best of me, and thinking that my worth was wrapped up in what I looked like, what I was achieving on the outside, and things like that. And as you know, when you place your self-worth outside of yourself, you can never have enough or be enough. And so I was really just wanted to come up with a system to live a better quality of life and not be so taken out by the rejections or the stresses of life. And that's what I did with this system. And it has really transformed just how I feel every day in my life, and has helped countless clients. And so it really is that notion of doing the work on the inside. I always say to my clients, or you think if you go to the gym, you can have the best personal trainer in the world, but they cannot do the push-ups or sit-ups for you. So you really do have to put in the work. And even one of my exercises is about boosting your mental metabolism. People are familiar with the physical metabolism, which is what we eat turns into energy. And this is really about your thought patterns and your self-talk and how that creates energy. And if you're thinking horribly about yourself all the time, or if you're allowing stress and anxiety to get the better of you, you're going to be really low vibe, low energy, and attract low energy types of situations. So it is converting. It is about releasing the negative thought patterns, creating new ones that actually work for you so that you can have the energy to achieve your goals.
I love that. Kate, this is so good. So good. I would say too, on the point of people not being able to do the crunches for you. That's something I've been working on. Just, I'm all about efficiency, outsourcing. We're still, it's in the development phases, but I think we're onto something there to kind of, change, really revolutionize that space. So 17 years, swimming, and you kind of just realized that it was time for a change. So talk to me about mentors. That's something that I think people don't realize enough, that they need mentors. So what would you say, who are the people that kind of helped you get going in that correct direction?
Yeah, that's a great question. I had a mentor named Marianne, and she she had a very strong spiritual practice. And that's when I got heavily involved into meditation and doing these inner exercises. I was actually really inspired by Phil Jackson, the legendary basketball coach with the Bulls and the Lakers. And I was living in Los Angeles in the early 2000s when the Lakers won back-to-back NBA championships, and it was the Shaq and Kobe show, and they were just electrifying. But what caught my attention even more at the games was Phil Jackson, and just sitting there so calm, cool, and collected, unlike every other coach I've ever seen who's beat red and stomping up and down the court and screaming at the refs and getting ejected from the game. Not a good look. And it was kind of that when Harry met Sally moment where I looked at him and thought, I'll have what he's having, but what is it? And so I did my research on Phil and saw how
was it Gatorade?
No, it was his mindfulness practices and the way he was able to even curb these egos of these superstars and get people to really work together and to play your game, whatever that is. You don't have to be a basketball player, but play your game from this inner strength rather than, succumbing to all the outside noise and going in and getting quiet. And I saw the results that he and his players were getting. And so that really started my journey into all of this work. So while I didn't work with him directly, he was definitely a mentor, and my mentor, Marianne, who I just worked with every week in terms of universal spiritual principles and the law of cause and effect, things like that.
Yes. No, that is such a brilliant point, Kate. I love that. When people bring up the fact that to be a mentor, you don't have to mentor. You just have to, mentor from like afar. So when people are doing things like, me, I'm up on stages, I'm teaching in masterminds, I'm doing all this stuff, I'm influencing. And people don't realize that just because they're not paying me money doesn't mean they can't get value from me. Even though if they did pay me money, they would get more value. So just something to keep in mind, you, the listener, as you're going about your day. Don't feel like you have to pay for a $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 mastermind, although you probably should if you actually want to get ahead. But you don't have to, because I know for some of you that you don't have any money, which is kind of pathetic, but it is the case that things are. So just something to keep in mind. You can see the people that are making a difference that you want to be like, and those can be your mentors, even though, it's going to be hard if you don't actually pay for it. So that is great. I love that. So another thing, Kate, I wanted to talk about, this has been something I've been really heavy into recently, is just how to manage it all. I mean, when you're somebody like you, somebody, more like me, who's got, books and courses, and I've lost track of how many books I have published. I mean, the blog, the social mediums, like all over the place, just everything, the speaking, all the stuff. How do you manage it? I'd love to hear some thoughts. I mean, I was just on your website here. I mean, we got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, and LinkedIn all in one spot here. And then the website, a beautiful website as well. People, that's kateeckman.tv. So definitely go check that out. Got some great stuff on there. But yeah, just talk to me a little bit about keeping sane through all the awesomeness that we have to put out into the world. I mean, it is really our responsibility. Like when you're as awesome as people like us, you kind of have to put it out into the world. So how do you manage that, not get overwhelmed as you're trying to get all the awesomeness out and into the world?
You're so funny. I think that's the $1 million question, right? Because you have goals, you want to feel accomplished, you want to be productive. And I find the key to all of that is the counterintuitive response, which is to take a break and to really take time to, you have to schedule it into your calendar. I can't tell you how many high performing, highly successful clients that I work with who struggle with even taking 5 minutes to just sit quietly. And I call it sit and stare time, and stare out the window and let your mind just relax or process all of the madness. And I think we all have a little bit of PTSD from this past year, or certainly more stress and trauma than we even realize. And so the key is to acknowledge it and let yourself off the hook and to take a break. I just suggest, even just like right now, we had our interview, our meeting scheduled in our calendars, and schedule that time. Okay, 5 to 6 p.m., I'm taking a walk. And yes, your email might be blowing up. Yes, people might call you, but you have to make the conscious decision to put your well-being first. And I think that's the biggest takeaway I've had from this past year, is that it's no longer cute or must be nice or how luxurious to care for yourself. And I'm not talking about going and getting a facial every day, although that sounds amazing and go for it if you have the time and budget. But I'm talking about just saying no to people, or not feeling guilt for not calling somebody back immediately, or just saying, sorry, I'm unavailable, but thank you for thinking of me, and making your well-being a priority. And people reach out and ask this all the time. And I give this suggestion and they all think, I didn't even know that was an option to put myself first or to care for my well-being. And that's how sick our society is. And we're all plugged into that mentality. So it's time to unplug and create your own reality for yourself that actually works for you.
Yeah. No, that's so true. Like just that self-care. It's so important. I mean, I would not look as amazing as I do or sound as amazing as I do if I didn't do my self-care routine. So people are always like, Brad, like how? Like just how? And I'm like, well, it's about the self-care. And really, I think a lot of people feel like they can't take that self-care because they haven't arrived at where they're going to. And what I tell them is like, even a person at my level who's achieved what I've achieved, which is just mind-blowing for most people, I still feel like there's another level. But if I don't take care of myself, I won't be, I won't be Insta-worthy when I get to that level to really share that with the world. So definitely a good thing to keep in mind. People, go check out kateeckman.tv. The link is going to be down in the show notes below. That's Kate, and then Eckman is ECKMAN.tv. She's got so much good stuff. Even access to a little mini course, Transcendence Self-Confidence. That was one of the ones that we were mentioning before there. Man, I love the word transcendence. It just seems to, just go beyond normal stuff. So thanks, Kate, for coming on the show. Is there anything else that I just didn't really think about or care to ask that you want to share with the audience?
Sure. I would just love to remind everybody how powerful you are and that just keep going. I think oftentimes we do get so overwhelmed, or we want to throw in the towel. And I always hear the late, great Kobe Bryant. I heard him say it in an interview. I hear his voice in my mind often just say, keep going. And I see it in all caps. So I remind you how powerful you are, how much that we need you to express the gifts that you were given and to make the world a better place. We all certainly need that right now, and to keep going.
Do it, people. Don't stop not doing what you're stop not doing what you're supposed to do so that you can go do the things that you need to, just like Kate said. Kate, thanks. This has been a blast. I am just so honored to have you on the show. We might have to do a round 2 here. I was just glancing through a few more things on the website and definitely have more questions for a future interview. People, go check her out, kateeckman.tv. And thanks so much for listening, people. If you've enjoyed this, I'd love to hear from you. Get in touch with me. I probably won't hear from you, but one of my VAs will definitely be in touch. Thanks for listening, guys. We will catch you next time. Ciao.
You've just listened to an episode of awesomeness. Now go out and spread the awesomeness and help others fix the mess that is their life, and help them stop being elusive and start winning in business, health, and their personal life by getting them to listen to The Brad Johnson Show. Book your face, tweet your tweets, and Insta your grams at Brad Johnson Show. The Brad Johnson Show. Winners only.
When I was in school, I absolutely hated writing. It wasn't until I was a bit older that I came to understand the power of words. If you're a business owner, you understand that power too. A business blog, when done right, can drive sales, increase revenue, and get you more customers. But as a business owner, you probably don't have the time to do all that writing. Plus, if you're not a copywriter by trade, you might feel like you're just kind of throwing words out there and they're not actually accomplishing anything. The good news is, there's a simple solution. Check it out. I call it the ultimate blog post checklist for businesses with online stores. This checklist will allow you to write better, more effective articles that convert readers into buyers. It's full of easy-to-follow examples to get your creativity flowing based on experience of nearly 1 million words written, and best of all, it's effective on any type of article in any industry or niche. I've successfully used this exact checklist on topics from pool table reviews to investment advice. Tired of spending tons of time writing stuff that doesn't convert? This checklist will change that by giving you highly effective blog posts and articles that transform readers into paying customers. Go to invicta.enterprises/free checklist and start saving time and transforming your writing now. That's invicta.enterprises/free checklist.